Hello, thanks for selecting this training. This training is titled Confronting Workplace Bullying Training for Supervisors. During the training, it's always a good idea to have a sheet of paper so that you can take notes or write questions that may arise. Also, never hesitate to contact your supervisor, your department director, or the HR department with questions. If at any time you need to pause this presentation, there is a pause button located on the bottom of the screen. This bullying prevention training should provide you an actionable instructions on how to stop workplace intimidation and how to ensure a safe, friendly, and most importantly, productive work environment. Workplace bullying can have significant effects on any organization. The company's employee morale and work environment are often diminished by such harassment. This can reduce productivity and innovation. Bullying behavior may be obvious with actions such as throwing objects, yelling, insulting others, and negative physical contact. Bullying can also be subtle. A bully may engage in character assassination, petty humiliation, or attempt to criticize or interfere with workers in other ways. To provide the organization and our employees with an enjoyable and productive environment, it's important to take actions aimed at eradicating and preventing bullying behaviors. In surveys conducted by the Business Research Lab during 2002 and 2003, 40% of respondents state that they had been victims of workplace bullying, and 59% have observed someone else being bullied at work. In many cases, managers and supervisors are the bullies. According to a study released by the Employment Law Alliance in 2007, 45% of respondents reported that they have worked for an abusive boss. It is important for employers to recognize, confront, and stop bullying in their workplace. This presentation is intended for presentation to supervisors and other individuals who manage employees. At the close of this session, you should be able to define workplace bullying, list forms of bullying behavior, tell the difference between workplace bullying, illegal discrimination, and harassment based on protected group status, give reasons why it is important to confront and stop workplace bullying, and cite ways to stop this offensive behavior, and describe Goodwill's policy on bullying. Goodwill wants to eliminate risk and stop workplace bullying before it starts. We want to do this by spotting signs that your work environment may be toxic and could actually be promoting bullying. Also learn to spot the signs of bullying when they aren't reported, and learn to implement simple employee coachings that prevent problems from occurring later on. The U.S. National Center for Education Statistics suggests that bullying can be classified into two categories. One, direct bullying, and the second, indirect bullying, which is also known as social aggression. Direct bullying involves a great deal of physical aggression, such as shoving, poking, throwing things, could include slapping, choking, punching, and kicking. There have been cases of people being beaten, stabbed, pulling hair, being scratched, bitten, or pinching. Social aggression or indirect bullying is characterized by attempting to socially isolate the victim. This isolation is achieved through a wide variety of techniques, including spreading gossip, refusing to socialize with the victim, bullying other people who wish to socialize with the victim. They're criticizing the victim's manner of dress or other socially significant markers, including the victim's race, his or her religion, disability, or sexual preference. Nonviolent behavior, which can be considered indirect bullying, at least in some incidences, such as name-calling, the silent treatment, arguing others in submission, manipulation, gossip or false gossip, lies, rumors, false rumors, staring, giggling, and laughing at the victim, and saying certain words that trigger reaction from past event, and mocking. Workplace bullying, as defined by the Workplace Bullying and Trauma Institute, is a repeated mistreatment of one or more employees with a malicious mix of humiliation, intimidation, and sabotage of performance. According to the Institute, is more common than sexual harassment or verbal abuse. Workplace bullying is deliberate, it's hurtful, it is a repeated mistreatment of employees driven by a desire to control. Bullying behavior may exist at any level in our organization. Bullies can and are our managers and supervisors, as well as your coworkers. Bullying is a form of aggression behavior manifested by the use of force or coercion to affect others, particularly when the behavior is habitual and involves an imbalance of power. It can include verbal harassment, physical assault, and may be directed repeatedly towards a particular victim, perhaps on grounds of race, religion, gender, sexuality, or a person's ability. The imbalance of power may be social power or physical power, or both. The victim of bullying is sometimes referred to as a target. Bullying consists of three basic types of abuse: emotional, verbal, and physical. It typically involves subtle methods of coercion, such as intimidation. Bullying can be defined in many ways. Assists the primary bully in his or her bullying activities. Bullying is also referred to as peer abuse. Bullying behavior may include name-calling, verbal or written abuse, exclusion from activities, exclusion from social situations, physical abuse, or again coercion. Bullies may behave this way to be perceived as popular or tough or to get attention. They may be bullied out of jealousy or be acting out because they themselves are bullied. Unlike the more physical form of school bullying, workplace bullying often takes place within the established rules and policies of the organization and society. Such actions are not necessarily illegal. However, the damage to the target employee and to the workplace morale is obvious. Goodwill does not condone any type of bullying behavior. Workplace bullying can generally be considered as negative acts directed towards employees. These may include intimidating or undermining employees by demeaning their work standards, not giving them credit, setting him or her up for failure, and constantly reminding them of their own mistakes. Also threatening employees' personal self-esteem and their work status, isolating employees from opportunities, information, and interaction with others, and giving impossible forms of bullying behavior. These can include constant and unfair criticisms, social bantering and teasing, yelling and shouting or screaming, insulting and behind the back put-downs, hostile glares and other intimidating gestures, malicious gossip, monopolizing supplies and other resources, aggressive emails or notes, overt threats and aggression or violence. And on the rise now is cyberbullying. Again, aggressive emails that take place using electronic technology. Electronic technology can include devices and equipment such as our cell phones, our computers or tablets, as well as communication tools, including text messages or emails. These can be rumors sent by email or posted on a social network site, and embarrassing pictures, videos, websites, or fake profiles that someone may set up. Workplace bullying is inappropriate and unacceptable behavior here at Goodwill. However, it is not prohibited by any federal, state, or local law. Illegal discrimination and harassment is covered by Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and under state fair employment laws pertaining to discrimination and harassment based on protected group status such as age, race, gender, ethnic origin, disability, and religion. While workplace bullying may result in a hostile work environment, it is not the same illegal hostile work environment created by, for example, the employer allowing pornographic photos in the workplace. For each of the following couple questions, think about whether the behavior is workplace bullying or illegal discrimination or harassment. In example 1, John Smith, production line manager, called Mary Adams, one of his assembly line workers, Sweetie Pie in a group meeting in front of her coworkers. Most of her coworkers are men. He continues saying that she makes lots of mistakes and is slow assembly line. Would you consider this workplace bullying or illegal discrimination or harassment? This is an example of quid pro quo sexual harassment, which means this the decision, provides, or withholds professional opportunities based on another employee's submission to verbal, non-verbal, or physical conduct of a sexual nature. Goodwill's sexual harassment and discrimination training explains this in more detail. That particular training is a yearly mandatory training for all Goodwill employees. If you have not received the training, it is available in a recorded session, or we have the live presentation anywhere between 4 to 6 times a year. There are 2 trainings. One is for our hourly employees or non-supervisor level employees, and a longer extended one is for our supervisors and managers. Example 2. Joan Downing yells and curses at her coworker Paul Jones, who has a cubicle next to hers. She makes fun of his new haircut and the way he walks. She constantly criticizes his work performance and gossips to other employees about phone conversations between Paul and his girlfriend. Example 3. Kurt Brown, who manages the account department, sends a nasty email message to his employee, Peter Marks. He blames him for the backlog in the department and threatens to demote him or fire him if the department does not meet its goals. He glares at him and makes fun of questions Peter asks in staff meetings. Take a moment, think about if you believe these are workplace bullying or illegal discrimination and harassment. Both example 2 and 3 would be considered workplace bullying. If you ever find yourself in any of these scenarios, please contact your department director, your supervisor, or the human resource department. Employers must confront and stop workplace bullying because of significant effects and the damage to both employee and the company. Workplace bullying results in employees suffering from significant physical and emotional problems, which can include anxiety, depression, intestinal disorders, headaches, insomnia, cardiovascular disease, poor concentration, substance abuse, and lowered self-esteem. The cost to the employer can include higher turnover, higher healthcare costs, lowered productivity, and absenteeism, lower morale, and retention that may reach levels of aggression and violent behaviors. Above all, tolerating workplace violence makes it impossible for employers to reach the goal of treating all employees with respect and dignity. There is no specific federal or state anti-bullying legislation in the United States, but that does not mean that the employer may not be held liable for tolerating bullying in their workplaces. If the offending behavior is pervasive enough to be considered threatening, intimidating, or creating an environment full of hostility, there is potential for a claim of constructive discharge, intentional infliction of emotional distress, or relating the bully to protected class discrimination. If you're unsure, again, please contact your supervisor, your department director, or the human resource with questions. It's important to remember bullies are very simple. Bullies usually pick out a few victims, and they pick them carefully. They will pick on people who have less power than they do, either because of the organizational structure or because a bully is in the power group. Bullying generally involves differences in power, and the bully makes the victim feel even more helpless by belittling him or her in public. Also, bullies won't stop. They really enjoy what they do. They get an emotional charge out of humiliating their victims, and left to themselves, they simply won't quit their behavior. So unless the victim changes the equation in some way, he or she will remain a victim and the bully's target. This also means that you can't negotiate with a bully. Negotiation can only be between equals, and the bully will only see the individual as a victim and somebody to push around. Bullies have a weak spot. You've heard it before that bullies are just cowards. But that's not quite true. Instead, bullies don't want to be caught in the act. They want to seem like reasonable people to everyone except the victim. So bullies always balance the pleasure of both, hurting their victims against the fear of exposure, and if the balance leans towards exposure, they'll hold off until no one is watching. Tips to help solve workplace bullying. How to use the bully's weakness. If the bully is afraid of being found out, then the victim has a winning strategy. The victim should make sure that all of his or her interactions with the bully are in public and where people are watching the exchange. If the bully starts a whispering campaign, the victim needs to confront it by speaking about facts in the same places the bully is spreading lies. Also, allies beat bullies. The bully-victim relationship is strictly one-on-one. Bullies won't face a united set of people, even if they are all less powerful. So if a victim can get some allies to form a coalition and the coalition will stick together, the bully will leave them alone and look for another victim. It's a never-ending battle. Bullies don't reform. They may hide the bullying for a while, or they may move on to another victim, but they won't stop bullying. This means that the victim and his or her coalition always need to be attentive, even after the first threat is over. Again, if you're uncomfortable and you're being bullied, and you don't feel like you can confront the individual, please do not hesitate to contact your supervisor, your department director, or the Human Resource Department. Goodwill has a zero-tolerance policy, and we expect our employees, customers, clients, and vendors to conduct themselves appropriately and ethically. You will have a right and a responsibility to report bullying behavior. Goodwill always strives to honor confidentiality to the extent possible, and no retaliation will be made against any employee who comes forward to report a bully. Step 1 is to recognize the bullying. Leaders need to be informed about bullying, about the huge cost, both the physical and psychological effects on targets of bullying, and the negative impact on the workplace climate and productivity. While some bullying occurs in the open, although people are subject to the bystander effect and typically will tolerate it, much bullying happens behind closed doors, so leaders need to assess the incident of bullying in the workplace. Step 2, intervene. This is difficult and takes courage on the part of the leader, but strategies such as telling the parties to work it out or telling the victim to tough it out generally don't work. Successful intervention in a case of bullying is difficult, but it is an instant that really tests the resolve of you, the leader. And step 3, stop rumors. Starting and supporting negative rumors about targets is a big part of the bullying process and is one of the reasons that bystanders don't intervene, particularly if the rumor suggests that the target is a problem. Leaders need to be tapped into the workplace grapevine to be aware of these negative and unfair rumors and then put a stop to them. Despite the large number of individuals who do not approve of bullying, there are very few who will intervene on behalf of the victim. Most people remain bystanders and tend to accept the bullying or to support the bully. In 85% of bullying incidences, bystanders are involved in teasing the victim or egging on the bully. In most bullying incidences, bystanders do not intervene to restrain the bullying. When the bully encounters no negative response from observers, it provides social approval for the bullying and encourages continuation of. They may take indirect satisfaction in the bullying, or they may worry that the risk of becoming the next victim through intervention. An innate understanding that others will be similarly unwilling to assist them if they do become the next victim likely strengthens the motivation to remain passive. Managers and supervisors are in a position where they can prevent bullying, or at least reduce the impact of it by creating a supportive environment. They should take the following steps to clarify the organization's stance on bullying and demonstrate their personal commitment to a healthy workplace. Again, when an individual responds quickly and consistently to bullying behavior, they send a message that is not acceptable. Researchers show that this can stop bullying behavior over time. There are simple steps adults can take to stop bullying on the spot and keep us all safe. Make sure that you intervene immediately. As a supervisor, this is part of your job. Sometimes you will need to separate the individuals that are involved and talk to each one of them one-on-one. You also need to make sure that everyone that you supervise and within your work location is safe and secure. If there was an incident that occurred, you'll need to meet any immediate medical or mental health needs. Always make sure to stay calm. Make sure you, as a supervisor and the leader, model respectable behavior when you do intervene. And again, a supervisor, your department director, or the Human Resource Department should be involved if the problem is escalating. All managers and supervisors have a responsibility to respond to bullying that is already happening in the workplace and to put a stop to it. You should be prepared to follow simple guidelines such as be alert and be able to identify bullying situations. Be accessible and encouraging so staff share information with you about any concerns they may have, not just bullying. Also, never minimize a complaint or concern, whether from the victim or from other staff members. Encourage but don't force a victim to confront the perpetrator. Tell a person that his or her bullying behavior is not acceptable and ask the individual to stop. Offer to facilitate such a meeting and follow up afterwards. Again, your department director and the Human Resource Department is always available. If necessary, investigate thoroughly and initiate appropriate disciplinary action procedures against the bully. You will need assistance here from your department director and the Human Resource Department. In summary, workplace bullying is deliberate, hurtful, negative, repeated mistreatment of one or more employees driven by a desire to control. Some of the forms it takes are constant and unfair criticism, teasing, yelling, insulting, malicious gossiping, and aggressive behavior. Workplace bullying is inappropriate and it is unacceptable here at Goodwill. However, it is not prohibited by any federal, state, or local. Employers must confront and stop workplace bullying because of significant effects and damage to both employees and to the company. These include the physical and emotional problems suffered by the employee, higher turnover, lower productivity, low morale, and employer liability under federal, state, and potentially local employment laws. To confront and stop workplace bullying, Goodwill will maintain and enforce our anti-bullying policy. We need to make sure that we train our managers and all other employees on the policy, establish processes for reporting and investigate and resolve complaints. You can find Goodwill's anti-bullying policy on our shared site. Again, please contact your supervisor, department director, or the Human Resource Department if you need assistance with a bully or an employee who has communicated an allegation to you. If you are being bullied,